We're going to start in a minute time. Welcome to the Faurecia booth at the 2016 Paris Motor Show. We have a press conference with the CEO of Faurecia, Patrick Koller.
Thank you, and very warm welcome to all of you. We will start soon. You please. So the first thing is the megatrends. I would like to tell you what we are doing and why we are doing it. The first thing is considering the megatrends. We have three we believe are significant in the moment in the disruption of the automotive world. So the first one is linked to environmental protection. And you see here that we have significant changes in the powertrains. The first thing is the tighter regulations we see and the convergence we see in the different regions in North America, Europe, and also in Asia. So we have to work on fuel economies. We have to work on lowering the weight of the cars, and I will be back on this. Interestingly, when you look at the mix of the different powertrains, the hybrid solutions will be dominant in the next future, and the content for us of these hybrid powertrains is more interesting, is higher, so it will generate growth. The second point is connectedness. Connectedness is it's given now. It will further grow in the cars. Here it is about human-machine interfaces. How will you interact with the car, considering that the offer you will have to deal with will inflate in the next years. You will also would like to have to import in the car your apps, what you are used to, what you like, and not what is systematically proposed. So the system will have to be able to deal with this, to take into account your preferences. What we also have to look at is new navigation system, infotainment systems, and we are considering this, and you will see it when you will visit our booth. Autonomous driving, it's the same thing. For me, it's given. It will come. It's a question of time. It's a question of costs. In 2030 or 35, we expect 20 to 35% of the market with some level of autonomy. The full autonomy will be first present on the premium cars because of the costs related to it, and I think that we will not have more than about 5% of full autonomy in 2030. But it's something which will come. It will also depend on the regulations and the capacity the OEMs will have to convince the consumers that it is safe. You've seen for the connectedness, I've forgotten to tell you this, the market growth, the expected market growth is 13 billion euros until 2025, so it's considerable. We want, our ambition, considering now these megatrends, is to develop our product offer to our customers in two main fields. The first one is the cockpit of the future, and I will explain to you a little bit more about this. And the second one is sustainable mobility. Cockpit of the future. We strongly believe that the cockpit of the future will be connected, predictive, and adaptable. The first one, connected. It's what we said. An interior with electronics embedded in the cockpit. We will use more and more the surfaces which are inside the car to connect the occupants, the passengers, to systems and to internet. We will use new materials and we will use smart surfaces, and you will see examples outside of this product offer. We will also increase the capacity the systems will have to deal with your applications, with your choices. Predictive. The system will have to learn who you are. The system will have to understand who you are in order to reduce the offer. Without that, the offer will be too extensive. it will be difficult for the occupants to deal with it. So we have to make a choice, make a selection which is individualized. So the system has to adapt to the people, to the context, and to the behaviors. The system will also precondition the cabin with personalized adjustments in terms of position, in terms of heating, in terms of lighting. The application will also become safer and more compatible with the autonomous driving. So the system will also have to make sure that in some circumstances the driver will take over the autonomous system to assure, to secure its driving. Adaptable, as soon as you will have to do something else in the car, or you will have time to do something else in the car than driving, what will you do? And here we have to propose new solutions, new possibilities to work, to relax, to have time to see a video, to change the position. But in doing so, a lot of devices we currently have will have to be redesigned. For example, seat belts. If the seat is moving, you cannot have the seat belt with the fixed points which are existing today. Airbags. If, again, you are moving, the positions of the airbags cannot stay where they are. Air conditioning. The airflow today is from the front to the rear. If you have an angle, you cannot continue to have this type of airflow. So you see that the architecture of the interior of the cabin will move significantly when we will go to this autonomous driving. On the top of that, electric vehicles will allow an additional freedom in terms of design because of the floor space. So this will probably be the first different interiors we will see on the market in the next future. We have a few examples here you will be able to test. So the first one is Active Wellness 2.0. What is this thing doing? So it's a seat which is equipped with sensors. This seat is able to monitor and to manage data. They are considering your physiological and biological data, and this from a dozen different parameters. The system will be able to remember your own parameters and learn from them and understand what the preferences, your preferences are. You would see it will allow you, for example, if you want to read, to put you in a safe position which will allow you to have motion sickness. Motion sickness will be a big issue with the autonomous driving. So we have to understand perfectly what are the parameters of that, what are the causes of motion sickness, and we have then to deal with it inside the car, make sure that the people will be in all the different use cases in the correct position. We will also have to make sure that the people will be relaxed when they sit in the car, but not too much relaxed. We have to make sure that they will not fall asleep. And these systems will allow us, through actions, if we detect that the person is getting too relaxed, and this is just in checking the dynamic of the parameters, we will be able to, for example, change the position of the seat. We could change, the ambience in the interior. We could start some more dynamic music. So there's a lot of possibilities we have to deal with this. Another possibility is when you have an autonomous car or a semi-autonomous car, the system will make sure that the driver will be put quickly back in a vigilant mode. And it's a scenario we have prepared here for you, and you will be able to test it in the seat. The other point we have prepared for the Mondial is a few examples of connectedness and HMI. So you see here, and we have selected it, in an interior environment, just to show that this is what it is about. We have to develop cozy interiors which are attractive to people. You have this center console, which is a new product with a glass surface and with a touch screen. The idea here is to integrate as much as possible in an interesting and valued device where the perceived quality will not suffer from. And this is what we try to do here. It's all about HMI. You also have another example which is very interesting. It might represent here a door panel device with which we can play with colors, but we also have, and you will test it, we have behind a new device, a new sound system. So this is also a loudspeaker which you will not recognize as a loudspeaker and which will contribute to the possibilities to increase our interaction in the car. You have here some examples of what we call transformers. We will have to change the interior, and we will have to make sure that it is modular and that the people can use it or not use it depending on the different wishes they have. Here you will have another example of what a dashboard could be in an autonomous car. What we see, what the customers are asking us to quote in the moment, are larger pieces of information systems which are integrating decoration, ventilation, HMI, and all of that has to look very nice, so the perceived quality is absolutely key in the requests of our customers. Sustainable mobility. So the technologies we are considering in this field is, first of all, the weight and the weight reduction. So we are committed to invest in lightweight solutions through biomaterials, but also through composites. And we are looking, especially for the composites, on the structural parts. And we see that we have more and more requests from our customers to integrate subsystems in the body and white of their cars. We are today already capable to propose about 100 kilograms of weight reductions to our customers. 100 kilograms represents about 10 grams. To give you a better idea of the importance, especially considering the new mix of powertrains the customers will have to deal with, of the weight. 1 liter per 100 kilometer of fuel, of gasoline or whatever, is representing 25 grams of CO2 per kilometer. So it means that when you have to converge to 95 grams of CO2, you are close to 4 liters. The deal will be to go 1 liter less, to go to 75. So you see that here, for 25 grams, we speak about 250 kilograms. So it will become really a significant priority for our customers, and they will, because of that, consider new solutions. So from my point of view, the composites, it's really just the beginning of the story. When we speak about composites, maybe one additional comment. We are not speaking about one type of composites, carbon fibers or glass fibers. We are speaking about a smart combination of different materials in order to reduce weight and to keep the safety of the cars. We also, of course, work on emission reductions, NOx, CO, and particulates, and this mainly with the SCR solutions, which are now becoming the standard. We clearly invest in the commercial vehicle segment and the trucks, and you see it here, but we are also considering off-road new applications, and which is an extended market, a new market in which we are entering. We also work, and you have examples here, of energy recovery devices, heat to heat or heat to electricity. And again, we will have the pleasure to introduce these devices to you later on. One important point is the ASDS, which is developed in cooperation with one of our partner, Aminex, and you have Aminex present here. This ASDS means Ammonia Storage Delivery System. It is an alternative to the current traditional system using AdBlue. This system is more efficient and more compact than AdBlue, and you have here the main characteristics. The first thing is it is efficient at lower temperature. Very important, and especially in urban cycles. It is efficient at 140 degrees Celsius versus 180 degrees Celsius for the systems you have on the road today. It starts releasing ammonia very quickly, much quicker than, again, the conventional systems, after 2 minutes versus 15 minutes today. Very important, and you will understand why. It requires half the space and weighs 1/3 of the current system. Now, we are also interested in looking at high horsepower. High horsepower means vessels, and if you think about an Panama vessel, a Panama class vessel, these ships will have to be emissionized in order to be able to approach the coasts of most of the countries, and this in 2030, 2035. If you have to use AdBlue in these vessels, the consumption, which is about 60 liters per minute, correct? So you see what it means in terms of AdBlue. It will take a significant space in these ships, space which is no more available for the freight. With these ones, you have a big advantage linked to the packaging, and on the top of that, you have gas immediately. With AdBlue, you have to transfer from a liquid phase to a gas phase, which is not so easy, especially when you have these level of quantities to deal with. So we believe very much in that. Another interesting application is the retrofit in the big cities, and you have here, you can, if you go to your iPhone or smartphone and you go to an application called Aminex, you will see that we have in real time the consumption or the reduction, let me put it this way, of NOx in Copenhagen. We have equipped all the buses of the city, and we will in the next weeks be able to announce that we are also doing this in a first big city in Asia and another big city in Europe. And this is, I think, showing the interest of these systems for the trucks, for the commercial vehicles, for the high horsepowers, and why not for the cars, but it's something we will have to deal with later on. Very interesting here also is the aftermarket, if I may say so, possibilities. You will see that we are working with cartridges because this ammonia is trapped in salt, and we have these cartridges to replace at a given consumption sequence. Okay. So one thing I also would like to share with you is how we get information about what is happening on the market and how we deal with that. So we have built an scouting and technology scouting network in most of the places which are recognized being the ones where innovation is heavy. So it's in Toronto, in the Silicon Valley, in Boston, New York. You have Scandinavia, Paris, Tel Aviv, Munich, Seoul, Tokyo. So you have all these places which are operating today. This technology scouting network is already allowing us to review about 1,000 startups per year. And when I say 1,000, it's selected startups which are related to the fields, to the priorities we have set internally. On the top of these startups, and I will speak about this a little bit further, we have a dedicated investment vehicle. We have decided to initially invest an amount of 50 million euros in these startups. We are taking minority stakes, and we are trying to find win-win ways with these new partners to develop them in our common interest. We also have a significant partnership network, 50 partnerships with research establishments, laboratories, and industrials. We have 5 shares which are working today, and we also have 74 projects and 6 patents for co-innovations with universities. And we have about 72 co-innovation projects or co-development projects with our main customers currently. So this to say that you will see also on our booth our partners who will be glad to present what they do. And here a few, and I will introduce them very briefly. You have Oana. Oana is our partner with who we are working on the well-being seat you will experience. They are specialized in advanced sensor technology, and they are also working on the algorithms which are allowing us to have this biological follow-up. CloudMate is a machine learning and analyzer of big data company. CloudMate, Oana and CloudMate both have participated to the Active Wellness 2.0. CloudMate is allowing us to use other parameters and to add these other parameters to the sensors we have inside and to define this predictive approach I just spoke about. Adventa is more in the hydrogen world, and this is on field H2 engines. We are believing it as an alternative of electric vehicles, and especially for trucks, for commercial vehicles. I think that this is a perfect solution. It will also be an alternative solution considering limits of infrastructures and the CO2 level for energy production, for electricity production. We are working with Adventa on hydrogen storage solutions, tanks, which are in composites, but not only. And Adventa has very interesting technologies here to facilitate these systems. Canatu is a producer of films. These films are very elaborated, allow us very complex shapes, and Canatu is allowing us also to have touch sensors on these films. So this is exactly what our customers are asking for. We also speak about Force. Force is a consortium, a French consortium. This Force is working on low-cost carbon fibers. The target is to achieve 8 euros per kilo, while the current price is between 15 and 20 euros per kilo. Aminex, I spoke in length about Aminex. Aminex is our partner since 2011. So this is it. Thank you very much. I'm inviting you to visit our booth, but before, if you have questions, I will be delighted to answer them. I don't hear you.
Yes, so good morning, Mr. Collar. Tanguy Kemener with Agence France Presse. I was just wondering if, talking about aftermarket, you were thinking about developing some kind of device in terms of connectivity. It seems that there is some hunger for people who currently have analogic cars and they want to make them smart. And since you have the expertise, is there any kind of way you can leverage that in the aftermarket sector?
Maybe. It's not clear yet because the related question of this is who is owning the data. Yeah? So if we make sure that the data, and especially the health-related data, are owned by the occupants, then we have the possibility, effectively, to deal with this data outside of the vehicle. There's no reason not to import the data which are related to the well-being seat in the smartphone and to continue to use this data to monitor stress, health, and other conditions outside of the car. Ça marche pas vos micros? Voilà.
I can just speak up. Thank you. I come from China media, so precise for the question, I may be in Chinese, so you can translate. 现在在这个智能网联的汽车的轨道方向上发展，其实很多的这个 Tier 1的公司，它的技术越来越趋同，而且不可避免的会有很多的这个竞争，就是在共同的研发上面。那么我想了解一下，就是从 Patrick 的角度来看的话，那么佛基亚有哪些自己独特的这个竞争优势？谢谢。
About smart connectivity. Everybody is about smart connectivity, and there's a lot of competitors in the market. So we want to know what is your advantage, competitive advantage, compared to the others.
What is interesting is that 5 years ago, we would probably not have been approached by our customers when it comes to instrument panels and things like that. It was not at all our part. And you know very well the players in this field. Today, because we are speaking about smart surfaces, because we are speaking about decoration, because we are speaking about ventilation, because we are speaking about perceived quality, suddenly we are becoming a player. And the customers are coming to us. So what is happening is that the traditional players, they miss competencies. They have some, they miss competencies. We have the other ones. So, and I believe that we clearly have to add the ones which are missing to us, but we are in a time where things are possible for us. We can enter in a completely new market. And it's amazing how quickly the things are going on. And I can tell you, what we are saying here is no more and possible trend. It is now verified. You will have what I'm speaking here about in the cars very quickly. So, and our big advantage is this. We have an understanding of the complete interior. There will be two things we are quite sure consumers will not compromise with: comfort and safety. Yeah. We are specialized in these fields. And we add to that perceived quality. And we know how to deal with that. Surfaces is our métier. We understand that surfaces have to move on, that they have to become smarter and smarter, but we are dealing with that for quite a while now. So we believe that there's here a new field of business development for us, which we have now to seize. It's now. We will have to add some technologies to our portfolio, and we spoke about that in the last months. We are still on this priority, and we are working on that.
We can take one more question.
Lei from China Auto Review. There's an interesting concept seat unveiled by Lexus this year's motor show. So I'm wondering, from a supplier perspective, what are some of the future trends of how seating can get smarter from your point of view?
It's what I told you. You know, the seat is, first of all, seats have two main components: comfort, obviously, yeah, but safety is the second one. You know that the seat structure has to absorb the energy in the case of a crash. And wherever the crash is coming from, wherever the energy is transferred to the car, the seat has to make sure that occupants will stay safe inside. So, but in a moving environment, in an environment where suddenly you will not stick to a position which is parallel to the road, we have to rethink safety. We have to rethink comfort. Another significant trend, but you see that in the consumer world everywhere, people want to have individualized solution. In the past, you design a seat which fits a lady 50 kilograms, 160 high, and a man 120 kilograms and 2 meter high. The seat will have to adapt precisely to what the people like. And not only what the people like, the seat will also have to give information about what is good for them. Because what is good, you know, is not always what the people have in mind. We have to take also into account the comfort in different situations. You do a short trip, you do a long trip. It's not the same conditions. And the conditions have to change during the time. So the seat has to become smart. The seat will have to include sensors to first of all appreciate in which conditions you are. The seat will have to include functions which will allow to act having understood in which condition you are. These are, you know, all the movements, all the adjustments, you know, but not only. We have to think about temperature, we have to think about humidity, we have to think about massage systems. We have to think about dynamic solutions which will allow the body to find its best possible place, and this in dynamic road conditions.
Just Auto UK, you mentioned 75 grams. How realistic is that, and what timetable would you put on it? Or is this driven more by your desire for competitivity?
Not really. Today, you know, in 2025, something like that, depending on the region, we will be below 100. So the best is to give you the microphone.
Yes, so good morning. Yes, so first, the regulation. I'm Christophe Offrer, so I'm the CTO. We met yesterday together of Faurecia, the group. So first of all, there is a first step at 95 grams of CO2, so in 2021, 1st of January. And then, of course, the Commission, at least the European Commission, is thinking about to go beyond that. So we are thinking about something which would be between 68 and 78. So 75 could be the next target. So when? So it will be, normally we think, so it will be beyond 2025. So most probably 2028, 2030. So then it means 3 liters per 100 kilometers.
You know, this is a trend which will not relax. You can be sure about that. Yeah. What is also an interesting point is the electric part. We have not spoken about this. We are convinced that we will see electrical vehicles on the road, and more than it is the case today. But we also believe that the introduction or the presence of these electric cars will not be the same in percentages in the different regions. We believe that we will see more electric vehicles in China, and especially in the big cities, between 15 and 20% in 2030, sold in 2030. And we believe that we will not see more than 5% at the same date in North America. So in Europe, we will be probably in between. So it means that globally, worldwide, we are speaking in 2030 of 10% electrical vehicles. And this is linked to the cost of the batteries, it's linked to the autonomy of the cars, and it's linked to the recharge time of the batteries. The technology will evolve for sure, and we will see at which speed. It means 90% of thermal engines in different configurations, and especially hybrid configurations. After 2030, we will also see on the market an alternative, which is hydrogen engines.
Christian Schubert, Frankfurter Allgemeine, Germany. Because you were talking about seating arrangements, Michael Mauer from Volkswagen, the design boss, on Wednesday evening, he suggested, that was long-term thinking, he suggested that the kids would be put in the front row, actually, in future cars. I just wonder what you are thinking about that. And if you allow a second question, since the diesel scandal of Volkswagen, do you have an increased demand on the SCR systems?
So if I start with the second one, yes, clearly. It is becoming a standard across the industry. It's the unique solution in the moment to achieve the regulations. Maybe one point about diesel, because this is also not well understood. The diesel market is an European market. We are starting in 2015 with 50% of diesel engines in the vehicles sold in Europe. These 50% in 2015 represented globally, worldwide, 15%, 1/5 of the powertrain mix globally. So if we make the assumption that diesel will go down from 50% to 30% in 2025, it's a significant drop. This drop could come from decisions made by the OEMs no more to use diesel engines on the smaller engines because of the emission control cost. We would go from 15% globally, worldwide, to 12% globally, worldwide. I'm saying that for you to keep in mind what is the magnitude of what we are speaking about. On the top of that, for us, we see, and this is again a confirmed trend, gasoline engines becoming direct injection engines, which will have about the same problems in terms of depollution. Yeah? So, you know, the value for us is not significantly different between the diesel engines and these gasoline direct injection engines. And as I said, on the hybrid solutions or hybrid powertrains, we have additional devices which are interesting, including the energy recovery devices. Yeah? So all of that combined with regulations, combined with commercial vehicles, combined with off-road and high horsepower, is representing for us a very significant growth potential in the coming years. First part of your question. What is interesting is that today we really don't know what are the different scenarios. So what we are proposing to our customers is a kind of matrix to define who is in the car, how many people are in the car, what are the travel conditions, what is the trip duration, and out of this matrix, which is a little bit more complex than that, we define with our customers use cases, scenarios. And we check if these different scenarios are feasible from a technology, from a safety, from a comfort point of view. And linked to these scenarios, we design the corresponding interior and solutions. So it's a process where we have today an involvement which is by far higher than what we were used to in the past, where our customers knew what to do and came to us with specifications. This time, we really have to work with them in a collaborative mode.
Any other questions? Because then we're going to let you go to next events. But we invite you to visit our booth, and if you have any, need to talk to people, we're here to answer your questions.
I will follow you, so if you have questions linked to the different devices, do not hesitate.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.